Don't get too triggered by the title. I'm not blaming Bernie Sanders. I'm more likely blaming the progressive media. There's been too many TYT fans who are black supremacists who end up murdering cops. The Portland killer that everybody wants to call a white supremacist right-wing terrorist happened to be a schizophrenic psychopath, Bernie-supporting progressive terrorist. I would not call that guy a progressive terrorist because he was a fucking lunatic. However, James T Hodgkinson III, age 66, from Illinois, is a white male at the very least. However, his blogs and shit, his Facebook, I should say, contained a lot of anti-Trump rhetoric and photos of Bernie Sanders in a positive light. So this is another Bernie supporter. The thing is, that doesn't really have anything to do with it. But when you got a media that can't be bothered to tell the truth about Trump, when Trump has done 1,000,001 things, from repealing Glass-Steagall, reinstituting trickle-down economics, doing massive tax cuts for the rich, backsliding on all his rhetoric that was negative, like the wall, which his supporters should not support him for, to backsliding about something that everybody agreed on, his rhetoric against Saudi Arabia, because he's doing pay-for-play corruption in the same way that Hillary Clinton was, so crooked Trump, but no, we're talking about Russia hacked the election, more propaganda nonsense that's full of fucking lies, and it's a misdirect from both Democrats and corporatist Republicans to just shove all the blame on something that doesn't backfire on anybody but Trump, when it's a great big fucking snipe hunt. But when you got TYT calling cops murderers, black people hunters, subhuman pigs, monsters who kill for sport, then you gotta wonder why some black supremacist from a black apologist website like TYT would end up killing a bunch of cops. Especially ironic given that Cenk Uygur, paragon of the Young Turks, has famously called Bill O'Reilly as having enabled an abortion clinic shooter who killed an abortion clinic doctor after Bill O'Reilly spent weeks and weeks and weeks calling the abortion clinic doctor a baby killer. The media is out of control. It's out of fucking control. I'm here to remind you in an entirely nonpartisan effort that whether it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Huffington Post, Breitbart Media, ignore them. They're not fucking trustworthy. Unfortunately, if you care, dear viewer, you now have to go read multiple news sources, and then if they even provide news sources for their articles, which are more than likely just plagiarized from another news source, which plagiarized it from another news source, and a continued game of a telephone or Chinese whisper for the people across the pond, basically just amounting to a continued corruption, bastardization, sensationalization, and fucking psychotic reimagining of hyperbole the story till it's no longer even remotely true, and likely wasn't true to begin with, because likely some partisan hack was the person to break the story. Fake news is everywhere, and it's at all levels of the media. You would think that you could turn on cable news and trust them, and then ignore the alternative news online, when the alternative news online is likely more often to get it right these days, because at the very least, they're not as beholden to corporate sponsors, which is the main reason why cable news can't be trusted at all. And at this point, I've even covered stories from the BBC and Reuters and Associated Press that turned out to be total fucking bunk. So the fact of the matter is, you must avoid this kind of partisan, hysterical shit. If you find yourself utterly incapable of criticizing a fellow Democrat without first gish-galloping your way through 1,000 two-quoque fallacies or two-cock fallacies, I'll never figure out exactly the right way to pronounce that, where basically you say, no, it doesn't matter what Hillary Clinton did because Trump did this, or it didn't matter what Bernie Sanders did because this guy did this, or it doesn't fucking matter what Van Whitelash Jones said because fucking Ben Shapiro said this. No. If you don't operate off of policy by policy and facts then you're a partisan hack with no concern for the truth. The reason why both conservatards and progressives fucking hate me is because I shit talk with even hands to both sides of the aisle, because they're both fucking garbage. And I'm even oftentimes criticizing people that I can at least commend for attacking both Democrats and Republicans alike, a la Secular Talk, although he's still far too progressive for my tastes. He's less likely to report propaganda or to unfairly hide the flaws of one party and exaggerate the flaws of another. But the fact remains that we have another guy who's clearly been taught to believe that Trump is literally Hitler and decided to kill a bunch of Republican politicians simply by sharing the same party fucking consonant as them, the R, indiscriminately just because they were a soft target for him. This shit has to stop. Okay? And after the Secret Service has proven to be like utterly worthless at the fucking White House, at this point, why not just go straight for the fucking main guy? I mean, there's only been like, what, 7 Secret Service scandals over the fucking last fucking decade? Where they've just let lunatics go running in through the house because they got affirmative action women hires without a gun guarding the front door. That kind of bullshit. The whole place is a circus. A nonpartisan, bipartisan fucking circus. And when somebody believes the hype at the rate of hyperbole and hysteria that is being spread by the media, we're getting more and more just plain crazy people shooting each other. And when you can't go, we've gotten like, what, 2 weeks in a row? At the very least, twice this month, we've had left-wing terrorists. This is to say nothing of the Antifa group running around basically fucking up California, left and fucking right, that are protected by the universities that basically the students make up the entire groups of, as well as the faculty, I should say, the students and the faculties of the liberal arts fucking universities in the area are basically making up, and the mayor of Berkeley himself is an Antifa member, and they're basically domestic terrorists. And the overwhelmingly progressive fucking entire state of California has refused to police any of this shit. Fuck the innocent business owners who had millions of dollars in damage from these repeated riots. Fuck the people assaulted. The cops are told to stand down, and the people are left to fucking fight in the streets like barbarians. And when I can't help but get into even Secular Talk's comment section, let alone the fucking communist cancer that is TYT's comment section, without seeing people screeching autistically racist shit about white terrorists, white male terrorism, just because, some of the past highly publicized mass shooters have been white and male, despite the fact that multiple of these incidents not qualifying under the fucking definition of terrorism, and were either disgruntled worker shootings or school shootings. And I've said before, like, look, if we're just going to go fucking make mass shootings a racist thing, well, then the blacks are all of a sudden going to win that fucking terrorism contest hands down, because if we're just calling any mass shooting terrorism, well, there's a little thing I'm sure you've heard of called gang violence, and blacks lead in the fucking mass shootings in that category in spades. But we don't play that way because we have some dignity and we care about what's true. Just like it's not Bernie Sanders' fault that this guy even shot up anybody. Hell, it's not even the sort of fucking communist socialist retards who are not racist fault or don't advocate violence's fault. No, those people are just stupid, not terroristic. That's just this guy made a decision which I partially lay the blame of at the feet of the dishonest progressive media. I hate that I had to make this issue sound complex by talking for so long, but I just felt like I had to counter every nonsense, ridiculously bigoted, insanely irrelevant fucking possible progressive counter to just arrive at the fact that our media is worthless and people are getting incredibly violent over stupid fucking politics. Okay? And stop lying is the moral of this story. Stop being hysterical. Stop exaggerating. Stop calling corrupt Republicans fascists. That's not accurate at all. Stop using loaded and ridiculously hyperbolic and exaggerative language like Nazi or fascist, or even in a lot of the cases of social justice warriors, feminists, and other cucks, it's not necessarily accurate to call them a commie. Okay? Antifa is absolutely communistic, and it is absolutely true that feminism is a Marxist ideology. However, that's not to say that everybody who adopts these labels is a communist or a Marxist or a fucking violent revolutionary, because most people are retarded and gullible and buy into labels without understanding what they support or understanding what they condemn. People just don't fucking have any clue what they're fucking talking about. And unfortunately, that list of people who don't have a fucking clue includes CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Huffington Post and Vice. They're all fucking liars. Salon.com, fucking liars. Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, fucking liars. Breitbart Media, Drudge Report, fucking liars. Trust no one. Thanks for watching.